Asterix, or also known as Asterix and Obelix, is one of, if not, the most popular French comic book in the entire world. This series has sold around 393 million copies, making them the best-selling European comic book series and the second best-selling comic book series in history right after One Piece. I actually did not realize how popular this was until making this video. That's a lot of copies. To summarize it, it's basically about a village of Gauls who still hold out against the Roman invaders, and the Roman invaders are trying to constantly take over their land. They are able to resist Roman occupation due to a magic potion that was brewed by a druid, Asterix, which gives the recipient superhuman strength temporarily. The protagonist, Asterix, and his friend Obelisk go on many different adventures. Of course, with this being a huge success, other media is obviously to follow, such as cartoons, movies, and of course, games. There's even a goddamn theme park, so you know this stuff is popular. And for this video, we are talking about something you, the viewer, recommended to me. Now, why would you do that? Asterix and the Great Rescue. Now, before we start, I haven't actually seen or read any of the Asterix-related media. I was thinking about watching this movie though, as this looked kinda neat, so I apologize beforehand if I missed any obvious references or nod to the series in the game. With that out of the way, let's begin. This series is called The Worst Platformer Ever Made, where I look at platformers that many people consider to be horrible, and I'm also lucky enough to get recommendations from many people in the comments down below, though the definition of what a bad game is varies between person to person. So sometimes there will be cases where good games get put into this series, or there will be cases like this where there's one mechanic in the game, one glaring mechanic that brings the whole experience down that people think it's a bad game. But before we get into that, let's talk about the game itself. The game is about the Romans kidnapping Asterix and Dogamix in order to weaken the strength and resolve of the resisting Gauls. Chief Vitalsisix, I said that wrong, is upset and responds immediately by sending Asterix and Obelix over to Rome to get Asterix back. I really love how everyone has the Ix at the end of their name. Netflix. But other than that, it's a pretty simple rescue story. Going into the game a bit, it's a really basic platformer. You just have to get to the end of the level. That's pretty much it. The art style in the game is very good. It has very nice sprite work and the animation can be quite simple, but it does the job. Overall, I do like the look of it. You're also going to be seeing a lot of different locales, which is very impressive for a Genesis game. Like, there's so many different areas you're going to be going to in this game. It's absolutely insane. This beats out some modern games that have been coming out recently. And this variance doesn't actually only apply to the setting itself, but the actual gameplay mechanics as well. Almost every single level has a new mechanic or a new enemy that you'll see that they just throw in there. I was blown away with how many different things I was seeing on my screen. One level you're walking on sausages getting axes and sausages thrown at you, and in another level you're in a tree avoiding baby birds' nests as the babies are trying to eat you. It's the constant new stuff this game has that impresses me, and it's one of its highest points. The controls for the game itself aren't even bad either. They're pretty simple. You move with the D-pad, you have your jump button, and you have a punch button, and you also have a button to use special items you find around the map. I didn't struggle with the controls at all in this. They work well. The only thing I did struggle with was the punching. The punching could have used some work. The hitbox on your punch is very tiny, and it's also above you instead of being completely in front of you. It's annoying for two reasons. One of them is that your punches go so high that it won't hit smaller enemies. The other is that this game has a bit of momentum to it. After you stop moving, you slide a little bit forward, because if you try and stop to punch the enemy, you're going to be sliding forward and run into them and then take damage. This is not only because of the momentum, but because the hitbox of the punch is just so tiny. You're going to be practically touching them when you start punching them. I think this would be totally fine if the hitbox was just bigger. I tried to not look up other people's opinions on these games when I'm actually reviewing them, so I can give my honest take without taking something from someone else. But I unfortunately broke this rule on one part. I did see a lot of people saying they didn't really like the music in this game, but if I'm being honest, most tracks were actually pretty good to just being okay. For example, the title screen track I think is amazing. Take a listen. If I had to guess as to why I see people not really liking the music that much, it's probably because there's not that much variety. For example, there's about 6 worlds in the game, and every level in each world uses the same track. Minus the credits, I think, there's maybe like 7 or 8 songs in the entire game. It's not much variety, but the songs themselves, they really aren't mostly that bad. I didn't hate any of them. I also really like the music that plays when you pause. It's very relaxing. But that was a quick overview of the entire game. I mostly just praised it. I really only had an issue with the punching, which is more of a minor issue. It's kind of annoying after a while. So why is this in the series the worst platformer ever made? Well, it all loops back to what I said at the start, before how one major issue can completely ruin a game. I don't have any time! The time limit in this game was created by a monster, a demon. Why did they do this? Every single level in this game has a time limit. On the rare occasion, you might beat a level with maybe a minute remaining, which is a fair amount of time. But 90% of the time, you will beat the level with 5 seconds left. This completely destroys the great game you have made up until this point. There is a difficulty setting, however, but the easy mode only really gives you on average 10 more seconds per level. 10! That's not enough! I don't even think easy mode changes anything else. Everyone died in the same amount of hits and I took the same amount of damage. Normal mode and hard mode, I'm not even sure what the difference is here. They played the exact same when I tested it, but maybe I'm missing something. Let me know if you know what it is, because I have no idea. But what this extremely restrictive time limit does is make the game way harder than it should be. A lot of people's complaint about this game is the difficulty. But the difficulty comes from the goddamn time limit. The extremely restrictive time limit makes it so you cannot take your time doing stuff. You always need to be on the move. And when you force someone to rush that much, they're going to make a mistake, which will happen a lot in this game. If you could take your time doing stuff in this game would be way easier and be a lot more fair to play. But because there isn't and you need to rush, it's way harder than it should be. I'm not even kidding. If you make one mistake in a level, like missing a jump or going the wrong way, you might as well restart because you're not making that time limit. Because of this time limit, the game has such a drop in quality because of one decision that was made. If I had to guess, this decision was most likely made due to the fights that game companies and rental stores were having to prevent people from beating the game so they would buy it instead. But this time limit is just so rough. If there was no time limit at all, this game would be so much better. I would even dare rank this as one of the best 2D platformers on the Genesis. But because the time limit exists, it's still kind of fun. What did I just say? Yeah, even though the game definitely drops in quality because of the time limit, I still think it's a good game. But I know for a fact there will be a lot of people that won't, which is why this was probably recommended to me. The time limit does add a bit of charm into the game, where it turns into a let's see how far I can make it this run kind of way. It's one of those challenge games. Don't get me wrong, I think it would be way better without the time limit, but it does turn into something else with the time limit. You get 3 continues in this game, and when you run out, you restart the entire game. However, if you beat a world, you get a password that sends you to that world, kind of as a checkpoint reward. I feel like the best middle ground you could have gotten in this would be to keep the time limit and then give the player infinite lives, and when they die, reduce points from their total score. This makes it so that way the casual player still has to deal with the stress of the time limit, but don't have to worry about restarting the whole game, while the hardcore player has to worry about the time and not dying because that would affect their score still. I think this would have been the perfect middle ground to appease everyone, but unfortunately that didn't happen. However, with the power of modern technology, you can actually make the game the best of both worlds. Save states. What a surprise, this content creator sucks just like the rest of them. I know there's a lot of debates on using save states on whether or not you actually beat the game playing them, but I don't care. I feel like specifically in this instance, using save states at the start of the level and only at the start of the level and then reloading once you die actually makes the game a lot more fun to play. It feels like this is the best experience, which I described before. You still get the stress of actually having to rush and beat the level, but due to having infinite lives, it's much more enjoyable to learn the level and actually beat it while still having that time challenge there. But that's pretty much an overview of the entire game. I'm now going to go into more details about the game itself by playing through the entire game for your viewing pleasure. We start the game and we get Asterix walking up to the Sega logo. I was told this was apparently the first game that let devs have stuff around the Sega logo and interacting with them instead of just, well, being just the Sega logo by itself. This is just a random comment I saw. I can't verify this though, but I'm going to pretend it's true because it's more fun that way. We start the game and get the story. This line at the top here is usually what's at the start of every Asterix comic, which is a very neat detail that they put in the game. Though instead of them saying the names of the camps, they just call them areas. We also get the game's story at the bottom here, which we already went over. After that, we get a map, which basically serves as the game telling you which world you're on. And it's also a character selection screen. You could play as Asterix or Obelix in this game, which is cool, but I only really played as Asterix. From what I can tell, both play the exact same, but Obelix is way bigger, and I feel like he could get hit more easily, so I just went with the smaller Asterix most of the time instead. We hit confirm and we're off to World 1, the Gaulish Village. And I'm gonna be blunt right off the start here. I think this is the worst set of levels in the entire game. A lot of the level structure is very strange here. Some of these levels are also very difficult for starting levels. Like, they feel like they should have been at the end. But let's dig into level 1. It is a 5-second straight line. Wow. That might have been the hardest level I've ever played. This level is just a small straight line with a few enemies sprinkled around. I understand this is supposed to be a tutorial level, but you couldn't really do anything more than this, really? Level 2 teaches you about throwing fireballs, which honestly I'm not really that big of a fan of. It goes in this arc, which is just really annoying to aim, as we'll see later in the game. This should have just been a straight line or something. This is an example of the time limit being an issue. This level has these crabs that you need to shoot, so while this would be a good tutorial for practicing your aim, it isn't, because you need to rush, which means you're going to run through the crabs most likely, so you have no time to try and aim and shoot them. We also get this cloud power up, which is annoying to aim. It also goes in an arc like the fireball, but when it hits the wall, it makes a platform for you to stand on. This is a cool idea, but because it goes in an arc, it's annoying to aim, and if you miss the shot due to the time limit, you'll just need to restart the level. The water here is also strange. You can jump onto it, which will damage you and send you up, but if you fall back into it, it won't send you back up, and you'll just constantly take damage underwater. Other than that, this level is pretty small, so it's not that bad once you get used to it, but it just throws so much at you here. Level 3 is really hard to see anything. This might have looked better on a CRT, but this still kind of looks rough, especially the seaweed at the top of the screen. It purposely obscures your vision from the falling pillars and spikes on the ceiling. It's more annoying than fun. You also move a bit slower here. Why? I don't know, I guess it's underwater themed. Level 4 is strange. You saw in level 2 how water damages you here, but you need to go under it in this level, and you don't take damage this time. Why? It's just a straight line where you need to dodge the spear throwers and jump on the enemies to get to the end. Though this level highlights an issue you won't see in every level, but some of them, as it's really annoying. On moving platforms that go up and down, once it reaches the top, you automatically get kicked off it. Why? This forces you to time your jump before it reaches the top, which is not intuitive. Level 5 is the first long level that puts your skills to the test. One mistake and it's a restart. This is one of the levels I feel like it should have been at the end of the game because of how difficult it is. It's a pretty linear level, but you just need to find the keys to open all the doors to make your way to the goal while dodging moving rocks, fire pillars, and all the enemies. This is actually a really fun level, but it should have been at the end of the game. This is one of those levels where the time limit is just so bad, one mistake and you have to restart. You get super punished for it here, but it's still kind of fun to play. Level 6 is just weird. It's a bunch of green stuff and teleporters, though we get the ability to levitate here. This basically just lets you fly around in any direction. This level has a strange layout with platforms seemingly anywhere, and if I'm being honest, I can't go over this level that well because I did what any sane person would do and fly over the entire level with the levitate power-up. Level 7 is like level 5, but with an even worse time limit restriction. This is where I really felt the time limit issue in this game. This level is 3 minutes long. I think this is the longest level in the game, and dying means you have to redo the entire 3 minutes again. This is another level that should have been at the end of the game because this is such an unnecessary difficulty spike that didn't need to be one because of the time limit existing. This level is only hard because you have to rush through everything. There's fire you have to dodge everywhere, oil spilling from the ceiling, random falling platforms. It's a mess. The elevator is also weird. It doesn't work half the time. When you stand in the elevator pillar, it doesn't go up instantly. It goes up when it feels like it. This makes you waste a lot of time in this level. I even got bugged into the wall at some point. Like, come on! This is a level where you have to go back and forth, back and forth. You have to grab a key, go back, grab another key, go back again, then go forward. It's one of those. Level 8 is a really great level. It's filled with lava that chases you, and it's not really that crazy here. The time limit isn't that much of an issue. It's honestly fun trying to outrun the lava. It's the kind of stress that doesn't kill you when you're trying to play it. And to no one's surprise, it's fun because you don't really have to pay attention to the time limit since you're already running away from something. Who would have thought not needing the time limit would make the game more fun? Level 9, is that blood? good? This is why the ERSB was made. I'm probably just used to media made for younger audiences being way too tame nowadays, but I did not expect to see blood here. More so, a guillotine soaked in it. The level is pretty fun. You need to jump on this thing to move back the mouth and then enter the mouth. But you also need to time your jumps as you land on the switch as the face tries to shoot stuff out of its eyes. It's a pretty simply designed and short level. I like it. Level 10 and there's just fire everywhere. I honestly think this would have been a good and fair difficulty jump since this is the final level in World 1. The only thing I don't like about this level is that some of the fire just straight up comes out of random parts of the ground. Why? There are sprites made that show you where the fire comes out of, but you didn't use them, you just put fire in random spots sometimes. This level has an example of losing the entire run because you didn't play it the game wanted you to. You need to save the levitation power up until the end of the level. If you don't, you can't make the jump at the end and you need to restart. If it didn't have these two things, this would honestly be a pretty fun level. But because it has those things, it's just kind of It's not really bad, it's just kind of But that's all the levels in World 1. However, we do get a boss. The boss of World 1 has music that's really bad, but it's actually on purpose here. The boss you're fighting is named Cacophonics, who is notorious for playing terrible music. Let him cook. All you do here is jump up on the moving platform and just punch him a bunch. I think if you miss him like 5 times, I don't think you could win the fight, which can be annoying, but it's really not too hard to miss him anyway. Though this fight maybe is a bit too long, because you need to beat his ass for a whole 2 minutes. After you beat a boss, you get a sprite of a Roman getting thrown out to the stratosphere, which is pretty funny. But that's World 1, but I want to highlight something real quick. Even though I think this is the weakest part of the game, did you notice something? There is a new mechanic, new enemies, a new level theme in pretty much every single level. The amount of stuff packed into this game is insane, and it continues doing this throughout the entire game. I cannot believe they packed this much variety onto the cartridge. World 2 is a Roman encampment near the village. Now I thought World 1 was kind of meh in quality. There was a lot of levels that just weren't good here, but I really feel like this is where the quality of the game picks up, because a lot of the levels going forward are actually a lot of fun. Except the first level. You can already probably tell here, but these platforms are way too close to each other. It makes you bump into things that are above you, and if you try and jump, you just go up. It's very annoying. This level also introduces, in my opinion, the worst enemy in the game, these archers. Their concept isn't that bad, they just jump out and shoot at you and you just have to avoid their arrows. But the issue is that it's absolutely random where they'll pop out of. There's no tell at all. You'll be rushing through the level as the game wants you to do and you'll run into them. It's not intuitive. Though now that I look at it, it's only really the starting part that sucks. The rest of the level's fine. You just have to go around and knock down these barricades, jump over boulders, and get to the end. It's pretty simple and pretty fun. Level 2 features the camouflage power-up, which I didn't even use at all. It's not really that useful ever. You're basically invincible and you can't get hit, but you also can't move while you use it, so there's not really a point to it. This level also features some cranks that pull you up, and beheadings! Putting someone's decapitated head on a stick? This is worse than Mortal Kombat! Reptile's the best character, by the way. Other than that, these levels also have these spinning hands you need to jump over. It also has these weird night things that serve as platforms. I think this is the only level they're in. There's a few mechanics in this game that only last for one level, but there's so many mechanics in this game, I mean, it's fine, I guess. Moving on to level 3, there isn't much new here. It's mostly what have you seen so far. It's really just a test of your skills up to this point. Actually, hold on a second. It does have this ballista, which is new. You just jump onto it and it shoots you a bit ahead. Pretty neat. It's a pretty simple level other than that. Level 4, I believe, is a castle. It has swords you see all over the place, and they're basically serving as spiked platforms that you can't jump on or you get hurt. It also has these rotating shields you jump on, which is a very unique way to make a rotating platform. But it also has these weird card things. Maybe they're great shields? I think they're fine, but if you break one, the top one falls on you and you're guaranteed to get hit by it because you won't know what this mechanic is unless you do it once, so you're gonna get hit by it that first time. But if you figure out what it does, then you'll learn and know. You would think this level would be hard with all the dangerous stuff around, but it's really not that bad. Level 5. You need to get the cloud power up to jump over this wall, which is fine, but you have these dumbass horses with the most jank hitbox ever. You need to jump over them at the exact pixel or you will get kicked all the way back and you take damage for it. And since you get kicked all the way back, that means you have to get the cloud power up again and jump over the wall again. And since you're on a time limit, it just takes too much time and you run out of time. I think I died the most on this level because the hitboxes on the horse kick is just so weird. But this is the only time you see the horses in the entire game. After that, you walk up a bit and get to another poorly coded mechanic, these fishbone things. You would assume that you would just need to jump onto them and avoid the spikes on the fishbone. But even if you jump between the spiked bones, you get hit by damage. I don't know what to do here. So what I did is I just tanked it and walked right over it. There's also fish hanging from the ceiling and they drop water droplets on you. And the water droplets do in fact hurt you. This level is filled with annoying mechanics that I didn't really like that much. But other than that, the level is still pretty simple. It's just a straight move to the right. Level 6 has a very strict time limit. You need to speed run this as much as possible. It has these bubbles you can jump on as well. All you have to do is keep moving to the right, keep climbing up while punching all the enemies in your way, and correctly place the cloud platforms. If you miss once, the time limit is up. Level 7 has these towers with enemies that shoot down on you, which isn't a bad thing to deal with. But the annoying thing about this level is that it's filled with platforms that fall down a millisecond after you land on them. I wrote down it's hard to tell which ones actually do fall, but looking at the footage, it's the lighter gray ones that fall down more. Though you're still going to fall for this trick the first time because there's no way anyone is going to think that's a falling platform. They're just going to think it's different colored. It's made worse because in this part you need to walk down and then immediately use the levitation power before the platform falls, and you only have a split second to do it. No one has that much of a reaction time the first time they fall down this. I'm pushing 30. I can't react to these platformers anymore. Level 8 is just full of spikes and falling platforms everywhere. Every single platform falls here after a second. It's a very hard level due to you needing to throw the cloud platform on the falling platform a couple of times, so you have very little time to do this. And because again, you're on a time limit, you're rushed, so you're going to make a mistake. I think I used the word time a little too much here, but whatever. This level is very small though. Level 9 is the boss of this world. The first time I did this, I dodged the rocks until the timer ran out, but that's not what you do. What you actually need to do is punch the rocks that are falling. It's a very easy boss fight. After a bit, the fort goes down, just before night, Fortnite. World 3 is a forest. Aw geez, look at him go. You would think being a forest it wouldn't be varied, but it actually is. Level 1 has these dandelions, which are annoying to dodge, though you can figure out a pattern to get past them after a bit. I honestly didn't get to see much of the level because I just kind of flew over it. Level 2 is a toy-themed level, which I didn't expect coming from a forest, but I always like toy themes in games. This is a pretty fun level. It also contains these flowers where if you stand on them for too long, they fall. I died a bunch here, but honestly, that's more of a skill issue than anything. You also start on the right side of the screen this time and move to the left. There are enemies trying to poke you through the trees with their swords, but they're a non-issue. I honestly don't know why I died here so many times. Well, that's because I suck. Level 3 is pretty cool. You're in a tree here filled with these bird nests and these babies are trying to kill you. It's kind of brutal, but I mean, there were decapitations before, so this is pretty tame. This level does have an issue of the leaves of the level, where they will either immediately fall downwards into the spikes, or they'll just move slowly to the left and right. And this time it's not possible to tell which one it'll be. It's annoying, but the level's pretty short, so it's not that bad. Level 4 is full of bees. Bees are coming at you constantly here. I also thought these deer in the background looked scary, but it turns out they aren't even in the background. You get damaged when you touch them. They look like they belong in the background though. That's strange. Anyway, this level is pretty much a simple move to the right in a straight line and get spammed by enemies. Just defeat them all and you're good. Level 5. This is the worst level in the entire game. There are spiders everywhere that constantly hit you because they don't die in one hit. And they're moving all over the place so much faster than you can move. This is just so hard to deal with. I died a lot here. What makes it worse is that this level has the leaves I mentioned before. Some move to the right, some don't move at all, and some immediately drop down, killing you instantly because it drops you into a pit. The level itself isn't even that interesting as the entire gimmick is just spider spam. You need to go to the bottom right of the level to get the levitation and then go up and then it's done. But there's just so many enemies in between, it's insane. It's a pain in the ass. The level is short, but I don't care. It's terrible. Level 6 spawns you directly in front of enemies, I guess to get your adrenaline off the last level. Other than that though, it's a haunted forest with plants trying to come at you and they're either trying to eat you or shoot stuff at you. It's pretty simple and is honestly a really cool idea. I like this level. Level 7 is a pain in the ass. I don't think it's as bad as the spider one, but it's still kind of annoying. There are rocks constantly falling from the sky, and you can see some of them when they're falling, which is fair when they do, but most of the time they're hidden off the screen, which is just very annoying. But that's pretty much the entire level. You're just climbing around, moving left and right, and avoiding the rocks. The main gimmick here is just avoid the rock. It's kinda lame but doable. I just wish you could see all the rocks that were coming at you. Level 8 is a haunted forest again, but it's just filled with stuff you've already seen up to this point. Nothing really new here. It has these small birds, but that's really it. They're kind of annoying due to hitting them is hard because of the weird punch hitbox, but that's just me being salty rather than it being a bad design, because you can just move around them. Level 9. I just died immediately! Level 9 is a boss, and it's probably the only hard boss in the game. So how do you beat him? I don't know. I don't actually know how to beat him. What I did was I put my palm on the D-pad and rotated it around. At the start, I just tried pushing up, right, down, left consecutively, but that didn't work at all. But for some reason, putting my palm on the D-pad and then just mashing it around seemed to have worked, and it made me win. It's very strange. I decided to look up a guide on how you beat him, and the first guide I see says it has no clue how to do this and he just used the password to skip the level. Is this a joke? If someone actually knows how to do this, please let me know in the comments. World 4 is Germany, and I have no clue what level 1 has to do with Germany. I believe you're in a jail cell in a castle, but it's filled with these women that just explode when you walk past them. Is this a reference to the show or something? Why is this so common in this level? This level has a lot of new things going for this, and I know I said this before, but this game just has so much variety, like god damn. This level has these walking helmet things. I have no clue what they are. You just punch them once and they're gone. It also has the iron cross spinning around, because why not? I mean, it works. That's the only thing German related I see, but I am not German, so I'm probably missing some deep cuts here. In level 2, I kept dying in the same spot again and again, but this is just a skill issue. There's a new mechanic here with the bird. You just jump on it and take a ride, which is cool. The trees at the bottom here actually damage you and you need to jump over them to avoid them. Later on, the level gets filled with spikes and you need to jump over them or levitate over them. There's also some falling clouds later on that you need to time your jumps on, but other than that, that's the level. Level 3. Now this is a German level. The platforms are made of sausages and the enemies are throwing sausages at you. Life is good. This is another level where the time limit is just really rough. You need to find the cloud power-ups in the correct order to have enough to be able to jump over the wall at the end to beat it. I maxed my run as efficiently as possible and I only had 14 seconds remaining. That is insane. Level 4 is a snow level, which is nice. There are snowballs here that you can punch, which makes them explode, and smaller snowballs that damage you, but you can also avoid them, which is pretty fun. This level also had thunder all over the place, which actually didn't really matter to my survivability that much because I took a route that didn't really have them that much, so that worked out. It also has this dude that blows you. Don't say it. If you stand on the end of his pipe and he blows into it, you get knocked up into a walking path that pretty much just guides you to the end of the level. Level 5 is a fun rush level. You have to outrun the lava and the time limit doesn't matter at all here. To no one's surprise again, the time limit being irrelevant makes the game more fun. There are invincibility power-ups here which make you run faster, which I don't think I've explained yet. You can pick up this bomb, I think this is, to become invincible, and you also run a lot faster, which is fun. There's also a sickle in other levels which makes you invincible, but it doesn't give you a speed boost. Anyway, like I said, this level is just a climb to the top and beat the lava. It's really fun. But wait a second, that was the boss level? There wasn't even a boss here, but I guess World 4 only has 5 levels. That's not that many. But why didn't we fight a boss? Oh well. World 5 is the Roman Gallery, but level 1 is a snow level that doesn't really have much to do with it, though I know why. I haven't brought this up yet, but this game is you going on adventure from one place to another, and each level for the most part tries to continue that. For example, we just conquered a castle on top of a snowy mountain, so this is us descending it. I really appreciate the level of detail that they're adding here. It's actually quite nice. Though for this level, the snow falling effect is annoying to look at. How do you mess that up? This might not matter for anyone else, but for me the giant snowflakes falling is rough to look at. They also changed the snowball mechanic into something more boring. Before when you punched them, it would explode and you'd have to dodge the bits that fall on you. But here they just pile to the ground and then slowly roll at you, which is kinda lame. Though even with the annoyances, this level's still kinda fun. Level 2 is when we're starting to see parts of the ship in the background. This level we have to stay on this moving platform the entire time while dodging the spikes. I guess this would be considered an auto-scroll level, which are mostly lame in platformers, but I'll give this a pass as it's the only one in the entire game. There are also these dinosaurs here for some reason, but I like dinosaurs, so I appreciate this. Basically, if you jump on their horns, they just knock you up, which is pretty neat. Level 3, and there's the gallery. Pretty short challenge level. The green platforms you can jump on forever. The orange ones disappear after a second. You also need to jump onto these seals that jump out of the water to get across. Poor guys. But that's pretty much it. It's a very, very short level. Level 4 and you're finally on the ship. It does absolutely nothing new here, but it's more of a level to test what you know against what you've already seen. It's a pretty solid enough level, but don't get baited at the end here by jumping into this hole with the coins in them, as what that does is it just drops you down back to the start of the level, and it pretty much guarantees you lose because of the time limit. Level 5 we're on the sails of the ship. This is what I mean from progression. We went from going down the mountain to getting close to the gallery, to getting on the gallery, to getting up onto the sails. It's a neat idea that works, though this level is basically just dodge stuff. Rocks are flying at you from below, which aren't really much of an issue, and there's people throwing spears at you. It's really just get to the end while dodging stuff. Level 6 is the boss, and this is either a crocodile or an alligator. I can already hear an animal expert running through my front door right now. This might be the end. This thing actually scared me from how fast it moved the first time I saw him. He is quick. Just dodge over his rush and then beat the crap out of him. That's pretty much it. He has a very weird hitbox though. You have to be super close to him, almost inside of him, for you to be able to hit him, which is an issue because if you get too close, you get damaged. But once you find the sweet spot, it's pretty much over. Now we're on to the final world, Rome. In level 1, I got stuck for a bit and didn't actually know what to do. You get this pickup which gives you the fireball to shoot at the wall, but nothing happens when I did. So I just jumped down thinking that's where you go, but nope, you die down here. Turns out you shoot the wall behind you. Doing that reveals the bomb, which makes you invincible and it lets you go crazy on the enemies in front of you, getting your sweet, sweet revenge from how much they killed you up to this point. Satisfaction. Level 2, we're actually in Rome, but there's nothing really new here. You just have to get to the end and beat all the enemies we've seen up to this point. I want to say more, but there's really nothing. I like the colors used in this level, I guess. Level 3 is the sewer, which is kinda ew. It's filled with rats you have to take out and slime that falls on you from the ceiling, but again, it's pretty simple. But I noticed something. The further we get into the game, the more I've been saying it's pretty simple. It feels like the game had the most complex, longest, and hardest levels at the start, while having easier and simple levels later on, which is very strange. Though again, most of that boils down to the time limit making you rush. Level 4, you're in a banquet where there's people throwing food at you and you're on the table trying to run to the end. It's a pretty simple line, but there's a couple mechanics here, such as, well, them throwing food at you, and you can also trampoline off this jelly here, which is kind of cool. Level 5 is the castle, or maybe a palace. Maybe it's the Colosseum entrance? I have no idea. They forgot to put in a background here. Anyway, again, very simple level, mostly filled with archers trying to shoot you, but it also has these gravity balls, which are kind of out of place, but why not? Just don't touch them and you're good. Level 6 and we're outside the Colosseum and we have these people we can save, I think? We can shoot the targets at them to release them, but I honestly have no idea what they're supposed to be doing here. They're like sitting on a chair while hanging. Can someone decipher this? But other than hitting the targets, you have to jump on these switches at some point, I think maybe twice? Jumping on the switches opens these gates in front of you, but it's really only at the end. Other than that, the levels are very flat, go to the right, and it's just enemy spam. Level 7 is the final boss, or bosses. It's 2 tigers. I do like how your total score is put behind the draping here to show it off and make it more flashy. You just need to punch their heads when they poke out the door and then jump over them once they come out. Same issue as the alligator here though, you have to be very close to be able to punch them in the head. But after that, that's the whole game. We get this image of the squad chilling after being rescued and the credits roll. There was only 10 people that worked on this game, but that happened a lot back then. Pretty anticlimactic ending though, as we just get a screen and that's it. I should be given a gold-plated medal that says I beat this game considering how hard it was. Anyone should. Welp, that's the entire game. I honestly think how you play the game will determine whether you think it's good or not. As when I got recommended this game by some of the viewers, they might have probably played it raw as a kid with no save states or just played it later with no save states anyway. And this game is grueling with no save states. I think the game is fun, don't get me wrong, but that time limit, it just makes it so annoying. This game is insanely hard with it, and it feels like there are a couple levels in here that are just made to drain all your lives, like the spider level. I do think the best course of action the game could have done is by giving you infinite lives, and whenever you die, you lose points from your total score, as this would let casual players enjoy the games without being punished for being rushed, and it would also let hardcore players try and get the highest score in this game and try and die as little as possible. I feel like playing the game as it is, with the time limit and no save states, wouldn't be enjoyable for a lot of people. Some people might enjoy it, but a lot of people just wouldn't. I truly think there is a very great game here, but the time limit just ruins the fun. As per my walkthrough mentioned, as you saw if you watched the walkthrough, there is a lot of variety here. It is absolutely insane. This game has more variety than a lot of modern games these days, which is insanely impressive. There is a very good game here, but that decision to add that time limit might have ruined an amazing experience for a lot of people to just a bad experience to an okay experience for the rest of the people. I personally enjoyed my time with this game, and I do think it is one of the better Sega Genesis platformers. But it could have been even greater if that goddamn time limit didn't exist. This is a post-edit thing, but there was a commenter in one of my sections that said there was a regional difference and that the European version is actually easier. So let's take a look. I didn't dig too deep into it, but I did find that the time limit was mostly the same, maybe only off by like a few seconds between each version. I was also told that the enemies are slightly different, but I didn't really notice a noticeable change at all. It might be a thing way later in the levels, but I didn't notice anything in the first couple of them. But one thing I did notice that the European version has is it tells you the level you're playing. Why was this removed from the American version? What? If you're an expert at this game and you know what the regional differences are, please let me know. But anyway, I think I'm going to end the video now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, as I like seeing the numbers go up. You can also follow me at my Twitter @OrinClubs and my Twitch /OrinClubs. As well, if you have any feedback or comments to leave, feel free to leave a comment below, as that is free to do. And I do try and read as many comments as I can. But again, thanks so much for watching, and please rate my Heart Gold team. I think it is very good.